Welcome, guys, to the Life After Ball podcast. Today we have Olly with us, an OG in the basketball industry. If you know him, you know him. But if you don't, I will let you present yourself.
My name is Olly Evergreen. Formerly known as J. Olly for OllyOopTV. And I would classify myself as an experienced curator. But at the time of me shooting videos for basketball, I was more on the side of video production and journalism.
Excellent. And can you just tell me about the past? Because that's where you were one of the first one to do basketball content. And I think like nobody else is doing basketball content beside Ball's Life or the stuff in the States. Like in Canada, there was no highlights. So you were like one of the first one with Shafiq Keys Productions. And I just want to know like what made you want to start doing media content?
So like media content or basketball content? Because that's like, it was a big shift for me, you know?
Yeah. So let's start with the basketball content.
So basically, I played ball for DJ Sports when I was younger. When I was in like elementary, I played for elementary too at the La Petite Bourgogne. And I don't know, it was a good time. Ball wasn't really my thing, but I was always a leader because during those times, I always got the award for, I guess, Player of the Year or Team Leader. And but like playing in elementary was easy because playing in elementary, if you're popular, you get picked. You get, you get those kind of perks in life. But I also realized that now today, being older and my self-reflection, that like being popular has given me a fear of rejection. So, I guess I realized it then because after elementary, going into high school, the reason why I ended up shooting basketball is because when it came to like doing tryouts and having to like play for a team, I was like, damn, I don't think I could put myself out there and risk getting cut, Like I don't even want to know the feeling of getting cut, whether I was good or not. So I guess because things naturally come to me, in that moment I had to be in the opposite position and put myself to the test. I just fell back and I decided to like, let me just film basketball. So I ended up filming my bro Q, Quarry Wine. He played for Dawson at the time. My main objective was to just film him, film his journey. And I ended up filming his team. I believe at the time he was playing like midget Dawson AAA. And that season was just like a happy ending for them. I ended up filming it, putting the video together. I just filmed the whole season and they ended up winning that year. So it just ended off well. And the first video I put out like had like this narration on it. And people thought it was me. Like people thought I went out of my way to like do this whole video and like talk about like it was like actually this series that Big Sean was doing back then. He was talking about like he was doing monologues about different stuff, family, money, stress, and I believe I took the narration from his family episode, and I just put it over the video, and from there like it really became like a magical thing, and people started to like naturally like gravitate to like my page, and I went on my way and did the page, decided like name it OllyOopTV because alley-oop. And like the rest like took off from there.
That's crazy to know because like all the basketball player sometimes like they want to push it all the way to until they get cut, but you took the different approach. But like what was in your mind at that moment? Like when you pivoted, you didn't want the hype, you didn't want to play like you just switched like that.
I guess it's a negative thing, low key, like not being confident enough, like to just go to a trial and just see, and just feel like you're too cool to be cut, and to feel like nobody could cut you. But I also, it helped me like work on my skills, work on like what I have to do on my end for people to always like attract people and make people come to me, make people see my content. So it actually helped me like put out the best content for OllyOopTV, because now it was on me rather than on somebody else's decision. So all the videos, all the clips I made, all the angles I took, the storyline that I created, like it was on me. So it really forced me to like, put out something really better, And I actually do acknowledge that there was Keys production before me. I just feel like the different approach that I took was further down the line when I did like journalism, like following the teams, because I really reached a certain point in the community where I was really like writing a lot of blog posts and telling specific stories and people's birthdays, and like I really knew the players. And I was asked the other day, like, because like it was my birthday this week, so somebody's like, yo, like, how old are you? And I'm like, and I was telling them, and they're like, okay, so that means that we're all the same age by the time you were doing like OllyOopTV. And I feel like it was better that being like that, just because like it was almost like me just filming my friends,
Yeah.
Rather than now, like if I go to film like the basketball, I'm just like 10 years old and everybody.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel when I walk in the gym and I see all of those like 15, 18 years old, like sometimes like CJEP, they're like 21, 20. And like I feel like shit, that's a big gap.
Yeah, like I'll feel disconnected right now if I would do it, By the time I was like 15, shooting the basketball and everybody was my age, maybe a little older than me, but it just felt better that time, because the way I was able to do the journalism is because at the same time I was able to go outside with the players outside of tournaments and go to parties with them and like have real life conversations. And that actually helped me, because I reached a point where like coaches would invite me to tryouts and be like, pull me to the side and be like, yo, who should we keep? Or who do you know that is really good? Who do you know that is good in school? Because like there's a lot of smaller details that's important to a coach, to know if the players are going to show up or not to practice, to know if the players are involved in other things outside of school, So
you were like a creator at young age.
And you see like how I didn't go to a trial because the decision of me being on a team or not was on somebody else's, and I ended up being a part of those decisions after a while, where I'm not even a coach, but I'm being asked to come and ask my opinion on who should come, who should stay. And also coaches knew that I was so close to players that if they could ask me like, yo, which one of my players are trying to leave, our team next year, like, or who is trying to come to this team, like I just had all that information, which also like created my bond with Norpo Hoops at the time.
Yeah. Because
when they would come to Montreal, they're like, yo, we're looking for that 15-year-old, that guy, OllyOopTV, and like they would bring me out to dinner, talk to me, and be like, yo, can you just list me out some guys to see this weekend at the tournaments that they're going to attend? And I'll just like be able to just like have information. Like I felt like I don't even know what kind of, I feel like a spy. I don't know.
Yeah, you're more like a scout, like an undercover scout, which is bringing you to who you are today, because like you're creator. So that's where like the creator background come from, scouting players back then. And so let's rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
Like what made you decide to pick up a camera, and how did you learn to do what you were doing at that time?
Okay, so pick up a camera. I mean, I always been like filming, that's for sure. Like, I mean, I think when I was 7, I was going to church with my mom, and I told her one day, like, oh, I want to make a movie about my neighborhood, and it's going to happen. And by the time I was in elementary, by grade 6, grade 5, I did my first short film. It was basically the teacher, he was like, everybody write out a story, and the best story we're gonna pick, and we're gonna shoot the short film. Because every year he would enter like a film competition. So luckily, it ended up being my idea that got picked. It was a story of a classroom watching The Simpsons. They leave for recess. Bart Simpson jumps out of the TV. He starts wrecking the school. The kids are the teachers blaming the kids. The kids are telling the teacher it's not us. It's Bart. It's Bart. He's like, what are you guys talking about? They end up catching him and then throwing him back in the TV. It's like a wild idea, but it ended up working. And then for that video, that short film, I ended up writing the script, playing Bart Simpson, shooting it at the same time, and editing it in the video, doing the music, everything. So everybody else in my class were pretty much just like my staff crew, just like, okay, you do this, you do that. You like, actually, Quarry was in my class during that time as well.
How old were you at that time?
I had to be like 10, 11.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
that's very young.
Yeah, so that was like my first instance shooting. We ended up joining 2 film competitions. The first one, I ended up winning like 60 movie tickets that I probably never even used. And then the second one was like the big one. It was like the whole of Quebec. It was like a Quebec Film Festival. And everybody was getting awards, best actor, best this. And I was like, damn.
Wow.
It's like, I'm waiting for my turn. And the last award was the best film in Quebec, best short film. And I ended up winning that one.
Wow.
At like 10 years old.
How was the stress? Like, while everybody getting called, and it's like, how would the luck be that your film wins all of the titles?
I don't know, man. I just felt so like down in the moment because I thought like it was gonna be over, and we just put all this time in for no reason. But I also felt in the back of my mind like my idea was like way too good for it just not to pass, you know. So that was really my first like instance of like seeing success and seeing something big. And to be honest, like thinking now as I'm older, I feel like that short film was like the one project that I actually did for myself at the time, you know? Like nowadays I shoot videos, I do a lot of production for other people, and I haven't really done like my own personal projects. Even OllyOopTV is like borderline like I did it for Q, you know? I'm like, yo, I'm not willing to try out and play on a team, but Q is like, let me just like document his basketball career, you know? And I ended up just taking off further than I thought.
Yeah, like that's where like the business sides come in, you know? Like it's either you continue or you stop. So what was the pivot moment of OllyOopTV?
So pivot moment was like it's an unfortunate moment. So basically everything was going well. Like it started with Q, then Dawson, then the whole program. Then everybody in Montreal is, like, can you film me? Can you film me? I'm there, I'm everywhere, you know? To the point where, like I was saying, like, I ended up, like, getting Norpo Hoops involved. And I think at the time, so I get Norpo Hoops involved. And they're asking me, like, yo, we really like you. We really like your content. We want you to be, like, the Quebec branch of our company. So, oh, wow, you know? I'm young. I'm like, yo, I'm going to be a part of, like, I'm going to be in Norpo Hoops, Quebec, you know? And did the paperwork, everything. But the downfall moment of that whole situation was that they had a guy in their film department, and he was basically telling me, like, what to do, how to edit. And I'm now looking back on it, and now that I'm doing, like, production as an adult, I could see that, like, you know, you have a template, you have a way of shooting stuff, you have a guideline of how you do things. At the time, I just didn't want to listen to it because I'm like, yo, I edit videos, I do my thing. Your bosses, which are the owners of the company, when they come to the city, they come to me and they come to talk to me directly. So who are you to, like, for me to listen to and take orders from, you know? And it's just my ego. I was young. Yeah. I didn't really know, you know, I should have just, like, listened and, like, waited out. Maybe it would have been, like, I would have been in a crazy situation. Things would have been, like, big for me. Or maybe, like, you know, nothing would have came out of it. But I don't even really stress on that because I feel like there's a lot of opportunities that, like, within the basketball too that I felt like came and went and that I wasn't a part of. But I also feel like this is just my journey. You know, like, to be honest, I don't think I ever watched a full NBA basketball game in my life.
Wow.
You know, so like me, I'm not really involved in basketball like that. I was really coming at it from the stance of like a videographer.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I do adore sports, you know, because that was my other problem. I feel like a lot of people did come into like the filming. Like that guy, he's just like a videographer as well. And I don't think he knew anything about basketball. He just told me how he wanted everything to be shot and fixed up, you know? Not to say that like I was a bigger basketball fan than him. It's just that at the time, like I was really involved. It was really something I was passionate about. I was on the court every day. Like I was there at the games, you know? So if you're just a guy that I assume just like receives footage and you edit and chop it up, you know? Like you can't like, I just felt like he couldn't tell me what to do and how to edit stuff, you know?
Yeah, like I think even myself, like when I was younger, like when a coach tell me to do something, I'm like, why do I need to do this? Like, why can't I just score that basket? Why do I need to pass the ball? It's the same thing as when you were like editing, like you wanted to do it your own way. But I feel like art need to be respected in a way, and I feel like it's not necessarily an ego thing, but more like respecting your own craft. And I remember back then, I think you were the first person who ever gave Hoops on the Rise a shout out, and I think like 6 months after you disappeared, like you were not there. I was like, I wanted to meet you in person.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to say, oh, who's this guy? Because like I always see your content online, and that's the moment that when I came in and I see you starting to leave. And how did you feel at that moment when you kind of like let go of your personal brand? Because like you mentioned a little bit of ego, like you wanted to like do it your own way, but by giving away your business and changing the name, like how did you feel about that?
At the time, because I see Norpo Hoops as like a big like scouting agency, I felt like, oh man, like I was gonna be able to like travel and go see other players all over the place and like do my thing. Even though I agreed to be like Norpo Hoops Quebec, so I wouldn't really be like going anywhere that crazy, you know. I would have just been home. But in my mind, like I felt like it could have went places, you know, because I really respected the brothers, and I just feel like okay, I feel like videography is not my greatest skill. Like people say like, oh man, he's such a good video guy, blah, blah. Like that's what you're passionate about. I just feel like my passion or what my skill set is like tastefulness and like knowing how things should look and feel. So at the time, the way I was editing videos, because I'm so like musically inclined, I come from a musical background, I was doing music videos and stuff during the time I was shooting the basketball. Like the way I was editing the videos was based on all the waveforms in the songs. It was based on the feeling. So like for me to just like put all that aside and follow a guideline of like just specific shots we need and just do a video just to do a video, that's why I felt like I was being disconnected from like, you know, the creativity and also like the purpose of what I was trying to do with my basketball page anyway, you know? So yes, it could be an ego, but also I felt like I was being like guided to you know, create in a specific way that just wasn't me. So after that, I ended up just like saying, forget this. And I was still around. I was just in Thetford. Yeah. I did like my 2 years over there. So I was still doing stuff, but just on a different page.
Were you studying there or like you just moved there?
Yeah, so I was studying there. You know, when Igor and them told me to come out there, like they really made sure like, yeah, you got to go to school, you got to go to the gym with the guys, and you got to practice with the guys. I didn't end up doing none of them. I did school for 3 weeks, dropped out, didn't go to the gym, and I haven't been to the gym a single day in my life till now. And I didn't do a single day of practice. And it just like, I mean, it sounds bad, but once again, like this was just me like shifted into my next phase of my life. Because while I was in Thetford, unlike all the other guys, I had my own apartment and I was living alone, and I had to just like learn how to like cook. And I discovered a lot of music artists. Like I discovered Tory Lanez and Bryson Tiller had dropped Trap Soul during that time. So like every day I was just like listening to the albums over and over. And in that moment I was writing music and then getting to like the music business, you know? So I kind of just like skipped out on everything and they didn't really see me, but I was like preparing for the next, passion. And this is what I do now. Like I reached the point where now I'm like project manager on music. I mean, more like a strategist and, like experienced creator. I've done shows. I bring artists to Montreal. I curate galleries and I'm shooting music videos and I'm like being the creative direction on like full albums and doing rollouts. So like, I feel like that time in Thetford like really shaped me to be who I am now. And that's where I like also felt like I was reborn, like going into Thetford, I was J Olly, then I just dropped the J, now Olly. And then I was surrounded by, so I always thought like music videos was my passion until I got to Thetford, where they gave me the green light to like do marketing stuff. Because the goal for me of being there was they had a Nike sponsorship because their first year in Alma, Chris Boucher, when he was on that team, they performed so well and like one of the most dominant teams in North America and as a whole. They acquired a Nike sponsorship. So my goal was to maintain that sponsorship every year. So I had to do what I had to do to make the academy look good. So that doesn't just mean like shoot videos. Like you have to make an Instagram account and Facebook account, take pictures. So we were doing like dance challenges at the time.
Yeah.
I forgot which challenge that was where everybody was frozen and just doing different stuff, like.
It was the era where you can experience, like experiment all the different type of stuff that like everybody's was jumping on the social media trend. So you need to keep up with it.
Yeah, a lot of things were happening, plank challenge, this, that. Every day was just something, So my goal was just to like create and like keep people engaged and make the academy look good. So like other players want to come when we travel, make the trips look good. And the gear that we have, like you want to see that, all the videos. So that was pretty much like my goal. So I realized that like marketing was my passion because I've always been a person of like an ideas guy, so I had the green light to do that. And in the marketing world, and so first when I got there, I had like closed my Instagram. I was like, yo, I don't want nothing to do with social media right now. Let me just focus on being here. I was like dedicated. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym, go to school, all that. And then the more time I spent there, and all I had was like pine trees around my apartment, well, around the building that we lived in, because we lived in a small building. It's just all the basketball players.
Okay.
And probably the only black people in the whole like town were all in this one building, because like Thetford was really like a interesting place. There was no buses. I didn't see a taxi. I didn't see police. Like it was just like they felt like safe, and then we just came there, and it was like a big shift in their culture, And so I just stayed indoors. I was like, yo, I don't want to go out. I don't want, cause any.
Were they giving you trouble when they see you, like that you're not white and you go out there?
No, like people just like, you go to McDonald's and everybody looks at you like they've never seen, like you're alien.
What year was that?
This was 2000. So I graduated 2016. So probably 2017.
Oh shit. Okay.
I was, out there. But it's just weird. Like you walk at night and they say hi to you just to feel safe, It's whatever, So we didn't really went there to make anybody feel uncomfortable. We actually stayed in the building and like enjoyed our time there. Everybody was like cool. So, but I just spent more time in my dorm just because I was still a coach at the end of the day. So I kind of had like some sort of hierarchy, and there's a lot of guys that are older than me at Thetford. So I didn't really want to mingle too much with them because if there was a conflict or something, like I would come out of it on top. And I didn't want to have that like dynamic, So
you're associated with them.
And I didn't want to be the one like, oh, you guys can get in trouble because at the end of the day, I'm a coach, so you can't talk to me a certain way. And I'm the type of person like, yo, if we're gonna argue, let's argue. I'm not gonna argue, and I'm knowing that I have no fault in this because at the end of the day, I have more authority. So I told myself, let me just remove myself and like stay in my space. So that's when I started like picking up different hobbies, like cooking and like watching. Like listen to music, So, and then that's when I realized. So there's this marketing term called evergreen, marketing, which is pretty much pine trees like never die. The leaves never die. So they're fresh every single season. And that's really where I got the name, because I always felt like I had fresh ideas and I was always ahead of my time. And I always seen like the trends coming and like what's the different moves. So that's where I got the name Olly Evergreen. So like the evergreen is just really like a marketing thing for like always fresh, always new. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good philosophy behind it, and like with your name. And you mentioned like all the stuff that you did, like you were kind of like a rebel. Like you didn't respect the rules. I'm not gonna say it that way, but like you didn't follow what the guideline was.
Yeah.
And after that, like what brought you back to Montreal? Like the path.
So leading up to me like actually dropping out of CJEP. So at the time, I was so involved with OllyOopTV in high school that I was always like editing videos, because every night there was a game shooting. So I was always like editing, and I was actually like failing math, science, and my teachers were like, "Yo, like you need to really fix your grades," and I'm like, "Yo, I have videos to edit. Like I don't know what you're telling me right now, but like this to me is way more important." Like, so they're telling me that. And I think by like Sec 4, Sec 5, and this is not no advice for anybody, but I went to FACE, Fine Arts Core Education. Mm-hmm. So I went to art school, and I would take the metro from my neighborhood, and the first stop was like Atwater. And I would get off at Atwater, even though I was supposed to go to McGill. I go to Atwater, go to the food court, and just edit videos every day. Like I wasn't just not going to school at all. I was just like editing videos. And like, it was just a fun time because I was in the mall every day, just all types of people in the mall, old people like, "Oh, I'm trying to book a flight for my son, blah, blah. Can you help me?" And people were buying me food. And just like, people just see me here every day. So like, it was just like, I don't know. You see like just the homeless guys, everybody just see me, and like, everybody's just like a different community. So some situation every day. And I was just editing my videos and having fun, enjoying my time. And I just wasn't going to school at the time. And unfortunately, I was like failing, and I didn't end up graduating. And I was also traveling with Tedford like every weekend. Like I went to my principal, I gave him a schedule, and I was in the States like every weekend with Tedford. And I'm like, "Yo, this is my schedule for my travels and stuff. If you guys want to like kick me out or whatever, it's up to you. But I'm just letting you know right now that the reason why I'm gonna miss school is because I got this stuff going on, And they're kind of supportive, but the fact that I was not really passing certain classes, it kind of like hindered me a bit. And but I was just a person that like creating, like organizing things, like planning things. I ended up planning my after prom. Like it was the day of my graduation. My mom's there trying to take pictures of me. I'm there like selling tickets to my after prom. I'm telling my mom like I gotta pay the rental fee for this thing. Like I gotta get these tickets sold, And yeah, like it was kind of sad because I ended up walking across the stage with like a diploma, but it was just a blank paper rolled up. So when I went to Tedford, I got accepted to the CJEP on a condition that I go to adult ed at the same time.
Oh.
But here was a dilemma, and this is the reason why I did not last. So I was on the dorm campus. The CJEP is like a 1 minute walk. It's just 30 seconds walking to the school. But the adult ed was a 1 hour walk through the woods to another school. And I was able to do that for like those 3 weeks. But walking through the snow in the middle of the night when the class finished at 10 p.m. and having to go to CJEP in the morning, then going to adult ed, then going there, and then walking an hour back for 3 weeks was like, I'm good,
Oh.
And it's crazy because when I got to when I started the adult ed, like they gave me a science book, and I ended up like finishing that science book like the first 5 days. I just ran through the whole thing because I'm like, yo, I gotta get back to editing videos. Like this I'm like, I need to finish school. And I think the big turning point was when I got kicked out of the CJEP, and then one day, because some nights I would stay at the high school house So the Thetford had four teams.
Yeah.
They had a high school team, they had the CJEP team, and then they had two traveling teams. So the high school guys, their house was actually next to the adult school. So sometimes I would just stay the night there. I would just like so they had like a big mansion, like they like 20 rooms in there. So I would just like get my jacket, sleep, and then sometimes I end up taking the bus with them and going back to the CJEP in the morning, you know. But one night I was on the bus, it was just me, Igor, Ebe, and they're like, "Yo, man, like," I think I asked them, because they're like, "How's school going? Like, we seen that you're not in the program no more. You like they left you from the CJEP, you know." I was like, "Bro, like," I'm like, "Why haven't you guys ever asked me about my grades, you know?" And they told me, like, "We always seen you as like a responsible kid, like you're very mature, because, you know, I'm OllyOopTV, I'm doing things, I'm like managing a lot of things for my age, you know?" And I was like, "Yeah, I understand that, but like at the end of the day, I'm still like a kid, you know, I'm a youth, I'm like 16, 17. I'm still like, I need, you know, like discipline, you know?" And that just ended up like being kind of the turning point for me, like going back home. And I'm like, because the major thing too with CJEP was that like I was in like communications. And for some reason in CJEP, I think here they take off 10% for grammar mistakes in all your projects and what you do. But in that program, for some reason, it was like 40%.
Wow.
So me
40%?
40%. So me being
I would have failed all my classes if that's the case.
Anglophone. So I'm looking at the work, I'm writing it on Google Translate, and then Google Translate doesn't do the translation properly.
Back then, it was horrible.
So I still gotta fix that and then hand in the work. You know, I was like, "Yo, this is not something I could do at all." You know, like I really have to put extra work to be able to like do a whole year here. So yeah, all that mix of like all these things, I'm like, let me just come home. I came home, ended up going to actual adult ed here to English. But the other problem there was back to my same nonsense. So over there for adult ed is like, if you miss 5 days in a row, you get kicked out. So every day I would go to class, I would show my attendance and just walk out. And then just go back to editing videos in the cafeteria. And I'm like, "Yo, what am I doing?" But I ended up like passing. And I realized in the moment I should have just done, this is where the lesson comes in for the kids.
Yeah.
That right now in high school, just do your work now. Because when I did the math in the adult ed, I realized it was so easy. And I realized I should have just done this while I was in school. Because now
do it the right way.
Yeah, and just do it because it was so easy. When I understood like the formulas and how to do things, I was passing. I got like 80 on one exam. So we had like 4 exams. And I realized like I should have just done it and saved myself time, because now I'm like spinning in circles and doing extra years of school when I could have just like been like finished CJEP as well, you know? So I think I did like 4 exams. I did like the first 3 exams, like all 80s. The last one, I just put my name on the paper. I walked out. I was like, "Yo, I'm good," you know? And I was just editing videos, man. So I realized, like, yeah, I was really passionate about what I was trying to build. But by the time I was in that adult ed there, I was done with basketball. I had met Marcus Troy, influencer. I had my own little office space at Makeway Studios, a music studio. Mm-hmm. Because before I was with another studio called Switch and Knobs, a French studio, in a condo. And they're trying to find a bigger space. So Buds from Makeway ended up telling them like, "Yo, come to Verdun in my big studio and we can merge and be like a mega studio, English and French, the East and West. And all the artists will just that'd be the hub for them to go." So I ended up getting a small office in there, like paying $250 a month for the space. I'm like, "Yo, how can I pay for this?" You know, like I gotta just start creating. Still young. So I ended up just shooting music videos for $50. I'm like, if I do 5 of these,
wow,
I could pay
$50.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, no. So what I'm gonna do, you know, I could pay the rent, you know, even though I could charge more, but I challenged myself to like learn, you know. And at the time, I was taking the metro there and back, and that's where I learned how to like, because I was really disconnected. I never really was a phone guy. So I really was like really in tune with reality. So I was watching all the ads and banners in the metros, and I seen all the animations. I'm like, I want to learn that, this motion graphic stuff. So when I went to Makeway in my studio, I was spending days and nights learning how to do motion graphics. So I get my little $250, pay for the rent, and then I was spending days there. Like, I'm telling you, like, sleeping on a desk, just like this, sleeping with a chair on the corner of a wall, my head against the wall, 4 days straight. Sometimes, no shower. I was going like to the Domino's, it was next door, bought pizza every day, Monster every day, and like French vanilla coffee. I didn't even drink coffee. I was just like, I need to stay awake. And I actually like put myself in like a mode of like, I'm going to learn this. And that's what I ended up learning. Never used it really to apply to anything. But I learned how to do music videos and lyric videos and things like that, animation. And wasn't really handy until COVID came. And nobody could go outside, nobody could shoot videos. And I had my survival kit.
Yeah, I think everybody at that moment, I think the whole industry shut down. There was no more sports, even like restaurants, everything, it's like bad. And like, that's like kind of like a wake up call for everybody at that moment.
And I rose to the occasion. Like, I feel like it was like a calling for me to implement all the knowledge I had like taken in from Tedford, graphics. And I was telling people like, yo, forget a music video. A lyric video could be as good as a music video. We don't really hear that. What is that? Blah, blah. Started doing it. Now everybody's calling me. I'm doing all the lyric videos at the time. Like, I'm the guy in the city. Like, everybody's coming to me, doing all their like artwork animation. So whatever artwork you have, just send me the PSD file. I was able to break down all the pieces apart, go in After Effects, do a little motion, a little loop. And I really like rose at that moment. And I think I was probably doing like 10K a month during COVID. Everybody's out there struggling, getting EI. I was like, yo, what is that? I didn't work, so I was like, I couldn't get no money, but I was really like working, and yeah. And I realized at that moment, you set your mind to something, you could do it. And also that like, just because everything's going down doesn't mean that you have to join that as well, Like, you could see the play a different way. And I was able to like rise over during that moment.
Yeah, that's very crazy because I feel that we both have an opposite path.
Yeah.
But we kind of like doing similar stuff, and we're still ending up being sitting here together and talking about our path, because like you did the complete opposite thing that I wanted to do, because there's so many times I'm like, I want to drop out. But I end up saying like, let's do it to the end. But at the end of the day, we're still doing the same thing. Like not exactly the same thing, but I feel like there's where that the lesson of the story is that you will go where you want to be, and you will keep doing what you're passionate about. And that's what brought you where you are today.
No, for real, like my mom, like disappointed that like I didn't want to do school. Like, I didn't want to get a job. I had one job in my life. 4 months, I was a butcher. Like, I loved it, And it's just that the experience that I had there was very like racist, like all the comments I get, the way I was treated. And also when I was working there, I was working with a bunch of ladies, and these ladies are old butchers and stuff, and they're just like all wild. And Verdun is a really crazy place if you know about Verdun. Yeah. So it's just like I couldn't stay there. And every day I was talking to them about videos and going to the studio, because the first job I had was the first time money was just coming to me. It wasn't free money because I had to work for it, but like, I'm not afraid of work. So for me, it was just like free money because I show up to work, I do what I have to do, I leave. And I was really putting in hours at this, like at the grocery store. Like, I was coming in at 8, and also like my shift probably finished at like 4 or 5. I'll stay until like 8. I'll stay until like the cleaners came, and they're like, what are you still doing here, And I was just like making sure, like I just loved working. I was just like, I enjoyed it, But everybody around me made my experience bad. And I realized in that moment that, yeah, I'm not against 9 to 5, but I know it's just not for me because I don't want to ever be in a position where people are treating me a certain way just because of the way I look or any situation. Because you could be like white and people could be just yelling at you every day because they just feel like they have authority. So I'm like, let me just do things for myself. And even at the time, the ladies were telling me like, every day you come here, you speak about video productions and this and that. Why don't you just do it? I'm like, yo, for real. I'm like, and one day I said, you know what? I'm giving my 2 weeks. I'm gone. And I just never looked back from then. And I ended up just like being self-employed, like full time. Just really out there, like finding opportunities and creating and doing what I love and putting it out to the world, you know?
Yeah, that's insane. Like you put all this stuff at the side, and after that to go get a job, and after that you come back, like you learn your lesson, and after that, like what was next to that?
Like I just feel like you have to see. A lot of people are like, "Oh man, screw 9 to 5, blah blah," but you haven't even experienced it. You don't even know what it's like, or you don't even work. A lot of people are lazy, and they're gonna say, "Oh, 9 to 5 is whack." I could say it's whack because I was there and I know it's just not something for me. So now I'm saying, yeah, like if you can do, like at the end of the day, everybody has to work. There's always a position that everybody has to fill. I do feel like if you're going to work at McDonald's, it's because you're a student and, you know, you're not going to, but I'm like, if you're going to really work a 9 to 5, like get a career, something that you're going to like, it's going to be like, you know, bringing in a salary, you know, but if not all these smaller jobs, I understand other people have different situations too, which force them to be there. But after that, the big shift was just like figuring out like how I could really sustain myself, you know, full time being a creative. My mom was disappointed that I left the job. I'm like, Mom, they're being racist. She's like, oh, and you know, she's older than me, so her generation is like, oh, if people are going to be racist, like, it's a job is a job. People are going to be how they are. But I'm like, if you accepted that back then, that's fine. But there's no way I'm accepting that when I also have different options, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like sometimes our parents, when they came, their mindset was like strict and specific to what they wanted to do, what their parents wanted them to do, which I understand why sometimes you would feel like, oh, I need to finish school, you know, because there's that other stress over you, something above you that just feels like, yeah, I gotta finish this because, you know, I want to make somebody specifically happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I just decided I'm gonna make myself happy. That's pretty much my game plan. Was my game plan. Now my mom appreciates me for like always taking my own direction and knowing what to do. You know, like I have siblings and my siblings come to my mom sometimes for help and this and that. My mom gets upset that I don't ask her for help. I'm like, I always got everything controlled.
Yeah. That's exactly something that you mentioned that's very relatable to me because like in the Asian culture, like it's either you need to be like a lawyer, a pharmacist, a doctor or something like that. And I feel like I was always an outlier. Like I was the one who's doing like marketing, video productions, and I'm not the typical person, but I'm lucky. My mom was very, very kind. She said like, do something that can make you happy. And as long as you're successful. Like I remember that line always in my head, and I'm always asking myself, what if I took a different path? What if I did something like exactly like what you did? Like maybe like drop out or like do something different just to pursue something that you enjoy doing. And it's a big respect that you actually took the opportunity and push it and do something for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, like this is actually why like the significance of my only tattoos that I have is the Control plus Alt. I just feel like I always had control of my life and also felt like I alternated a lot. I did a lot of things. I tried everything. I do massage. I do anything I want to do. I'm like, yo, let me just do it today. You know, I'm going to put a post up and be like, guys, tomorrow I'm going to have a snow cone company and I'm going to find a way to market it because that's what I do. I love marketing and I'm going to try it out. I'm going to see, you know, because technically you could be the best tennis player in the world. I don't know if you ever played tennis.
Yeah, like
you know what I'm saying?
Just for fun in the park.
You know, but you never know. Like you never know what you could be actually ultimately good at and know unless you tried it, you know?
Yeah.
So and there's so many things in this world and we're not gonna be able to try everything. So sometimes you're never actually gonna know what our calling is. But I also realize there's a difference between being talented and having a talent. You know, having a talent is you're born with it, and you actually, like, a lot of people are like, have a talent for like piano. You just born, your fingers start going away. But in being talented is like you find a skill and you actually work on the craft. You put the 10,000 hours in, and you make it in something that you're really good at, you know? And that's the option too, because sometimes we're not always going to find what our talent is, but we could be talented at something. And it's just to, you know, put yourself out there and see what can be done.
Yo, he just put some jams in the video, in the podcast. That's crazy. I think that's a very wise word. And like, what was after that? Like, all of those hard work, those 10,000 hours that you put in.
Yeah, it's like very up and down, very like trying to still figure out what my purpose is, what I want to do. But I have no regrets, you know? Like, I feel like there's a lot of moments. Oh. Okay. So, yeah. I just feel like I have no regrets, even though there's a lot of moments where I feel like, man, you know, like, for example, one time, Lugains DMs me. He's like, yo, man, I have a game. Like, I would like you to come film it, you know? And at the time, like, what's his name? Junior was the guy. Mm-hmm. Junior was the Farquhar. It was everybody seeing him, you know? So I'm like, okay, let me come to the game. I don't really know who Lugains is, but sure, I'm going to show up, you know? So I'm there. I'm there with my camera, but I'm actually there watching the game, and I'm not filming the game. And Lugains is going off, going crazy, like dominating the game, beating on his chest, all this craziness, like giving energy, you know? And I realized, wow, that day I was like, oh, actually, Lugains is the guy too. And he's actually going to like go places. Because I feel like also I could see the potential in people. And, you know, like just now today, I didn't really put the energy. Like, yes, I ended up doing some mixtapes later and having him like being like what I would say featured in a lot of stuff I did. But I wasn't involved like that because I'm not a person that really like, not to say I don't care about anything, but I don't put too much emphasis on anything. I'm very like a neutral person. If you know me, yeah. I could see both sides of everything. I understand people. So I wasn't just gonna like be like, oh, let me jump on this guy. Let me be there every game. I really like gave everybody their chance when it was during the time of me filming. Of course, some people got more time than others. But I feel like, okay, boom, Lugains go to NBA. I'm like, damn, I wasn't a part of his circle, part of his clique. And then sometimes I'm like, damn, that's one regret, you know? And that happened with Lugains, happened with artists that now are signed and doing major things that I was like there when they were just like starting off, and I could have been super involved and I didn't. But also, like I said, it also just brings me back to where I am today. You know, like I could have just been a part of the crew doing things, and my whole life could have been dedicated to him, dedicated to the artist, dedicated to whoever. But now I just feel like I'm like an essential person in the city, and I've built myself to be that. And when it came to basketball, people could see me and be like, oh man, you did good things back then. And now I'm just in a new phase. Now people are telling me that about videos. People are telling me that about art installations that I'm doing, or just whatever it is. People are telling me that about massage. Oh my gosh, you're that guy, you know? So, I don't know. I always consider myself a person just walking on earth, enjoying my time here. You know, I'm not a sneaker collector. I'm really just neutral. I just get up every day. I'm so grateful and thankful of like my life just being dope. You know?
Yeah. Like, because every time I see you, like, you have a very chill vibe, relax. Yeah. I feel like you're a go with the flow person. Maybe I'm wrong or something, but that's type of energy that I feel from you. Every time I see you, like that guy won't hate on you. That guy will be like the good guy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, I really wish that you were still in the basketball field, because I feel Montreal would have a big impact in a way.
I think about it a lot, man. I was like, if I do it, I want to be more on like a storytelling side of it, like a vice, like following the players and stuff. Because I felt like when I was doing the mixtapes, it was very hypocritical. I was just like taking all the good parts of a game, of a player, and just putting it out there when sometimes they were not winning the game. Sometimes, you know, like I wanted to just show the process. Like guys are putting their free throws that they're making in their mixtapes. Like what is that? Like you're trying to show me, I get it. Coaches want to see you can make free throws, but like you didn't score enough points, so now you got to put your free throws in your mixtape. Like, bro, like I want to show like people like hardships, people working out, people training, people sad in emotions, and that's what I did when I was shooting the games with Tedford on the road. There's a lot of moments where we're defeated, a lot of moments where the guys are sad, moments where the guys needed to have a comeback. And that's what like I wanted to put out to the people. But it just became a thing where it's just like highlights. And I kind of just removed myself from that. Not that there's anything wrong, but I just like I want to tell like a bigger story, you know? I feel like, and this might be crazy what I'm saying, but all the guys that went undrafted that are in the league now, it's because they didn't have a story.
Mm-hmm.
So Chris, Lugains, now that they're in the league, they're able to go back in time and be like, oh man, these guys came from this neighborhood and that neighborhood, and this is their story, which is like wild now, and it's good that they be able to tell a story. But I felt like, and I do feel like, if we were able to document that moment of them being in Montreal North and Chris just being like not really being a basketball guy, but like picking up the ball and like figuring it out and being able to document it like I was able to do for Dawson, and telling those stories, that going to the league, like their file will be up there, because a lot of guys made it to the league that way. If you Ball Is Life, or all that, they're filming like Dwayne Bacon and I forgot the other guy that was playing at Rutgers with him. But those guys, their whole life was being documented. So it kind of sold them to the team. Even though now they're not even playing the league, but it got them there in place, you know? There's a pros and cons, because I wouldn't want the guys to make the league and then not be able to keep up. Now that they went undrafted and they actually proved and showed themselves that they were about it, and now they're actually like the stars, is also, it ended up panning out well, you know?
Yeah.
But I just feel like a lot of guys went to the league without being marketed, and I feel like that's a crucial part of the sport. I feel like you should be able to tell your story during the time, so you could really like sell your story and have higher chances.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, I just want to see, like, I want you to tell me, if you can go back in time, is there anything that you would change, or you would keep it as it is?
Anything I would change? No, there's nothing I would change, because there's many moments I was able to make that change. Like, for example, when I started, I started with the mixtapes, and I started getting into a little journalism and telling a lot of stories and like putting a lot of bloopers and funny stuff. And sometimes it got me a lot of problems because like guys felt embarrassed and whatever. And that footage was out there, even though it's a part of the game. You know, like I got a lot of threats of like, yo, take this video down, this person getting dunked on. I'm like, whatever, you know. And I would do it at first, and then I stopped. I'm like, yo, I don't care what you guys tell me. And it also reached a point where like coaches were telling me like, yo, do like Key's production and just do the highlights and nothing else. Don't give your opinion. Don't write any blog posts. Like, don't get into the politics of the basketball. Like, just film and everything's gonna be better for you. And if I would have listened to these guys, like I would just not even. I mean, I'm still not in the basketball now, but I think I would have just been done earlier. You know, it just wouldn't have been authentic.
It wouldn't be fun. Like, it would be boring for you in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like what I did really brought a different dynamic, and also like carried on for everybody else that came to film after to like make it fun too. I feel.
Yeah. That's crazy. And so if a kid right now or someone that want to do what you were doing or what you're doing right now, what would be the advice you would give to them?
I'd be like, I know. I'm like, just do it, like, be passionate about it. Like, the reason why I was solo when I did the OllyOopTV is is because I felt like anybody else that would want to film with me would want money. And I wasn't even charging anybody to do mixtapes. I was just doing it because it started with my brother and I was passionate about it. And I just kept it going, you know? So I'm like, for me, you have to enjoy the sport, enjoy videography, and just show up. Like, it's just a part-time thing, you know? You could do everything. You could do, like, weddings on the side if you need to, you know? But, like, just capturing the sport itself, just, like, if you're really about it, like, just film it. Because once you start, like, taking the money, then everything starts getting, like, complicated, and then you start getting that guideline. Like, now it's like the players putting guidelines on you and what you should take, and now you go to a game and you're fixed on one person when there's so much things going on in the game as well. And you kind of get lost in that and in that aspect as well, you know? So as far as players, what I would advise is like document the process, market yourself, think about a logo, think about you know, like your favorite colors, whatever, that you could make your feed look a certain way. Get on TikTok and you know, make it the best as possible, you know, to really make the sport and make the experience for your viewers, and try to build that fan base so that when you move higher, NCAA, whatever it is, that you actually have quite a bit of following, and you have like a social presence that's actually like aesthetic, the word.
Yeah. So if we want to find you on social media or something, how do we find you?
You can find me at Olly.ever. Instagram is like the only platform that I use. And yeah. So yeah, it's really
all right. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for watching. And if you want us to invite someone specific, just drop them in the comment below, and see you on the next episode.